Yo, what's going on with you guys? It's your boy Brass, aka Raps Truth Seeker, and you are now rocking with Facts and Conspiracies. Now look, I thought you was looking for something interesting, so I found something for you. Check this out. Yo.
This is mind-blowing and something to think about. Do you ever think about what happens to the bodies after you leave a funeral procession? Why do I ask? Because there's a viral video that's going around where a guy explains how he allegedly believes, because of the weight of some of the caskets, that there are no bodies in them. So this gentleman right here claims that while he was on his side gig of digging graves, he's seen things that have led him to believe that there are no bodies inside the caskets. So basically, while he was digging a grave, the cemetery director walked over to him and said, "Hey, we need to dig up that grave." So he went ahead and they dug up the casket. Upon digging up the casket, it came up uneven, a little crooked, sideways is what he says, like it didn't have enough weight in it. So after that, the funeral director told him it should be lifted up manually. So they went ahead, they lifted it up manually, and that's when he felt that it wasn't heavy enough, and he said to himself, "I don't think there's a body inside this." So he basically asked, "Why is this casket so light?" The funeral director turned to him and said, "Don't ask questions that you're not ready for." One thing I want you to think about now that this story has come to light, and you never thought about it, I never thought about it, there are 144,000 cemeteries across the US as of 2025. One question you should be asking is, when was the last time you seen them build a new cemetery? So of course, I went and did some digging. Why haven't you seen new cemeteries being built? Here is what came up when I searched for it. Land availability. They are building like crazy all over the United States. Therefore, where are you going to put cemeteries? Increased land costs, but funerals cost an arm and a leg. Excuse the pun. Environmental concerns, alternate burial options, and grave recycling. You heard what I said, grave recycling. There is a such thing. In some cases, cemeteries are expanding their capacity by reusing burial spaces through a practice called grave recycling. So the question remains, with so many people across the United States, people pass away every day, every minute. What's going on with the bodies? Where are they going? Are you thinking about this? Is it something that I've never thought about this until I listened to that viral video, and I'm starting to say, Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments, and as always, I'd love to hear from you.
Gravedigger, Part 3. I'm finally free to say a little bit more because charges have been filed. I knew that day that the casket was empty, and I want to clarify something. I was not digging up a casket. That was a fresh burial. The person had been dead for 2 days. That's it. No longer. So no, the body didn't decay. Nothing like that happened. We was putting the casket on, and it's got to set straight. Like, you got to put it on there, and, to lower it in the hole, of course, it's got to be on top of there. Well, it had come up, and it had popped up in the corner a little bit. So I went over there, and the director told me, he's like, "Hey, we got to get this back on here, we got to get it straight." So I'm like, cool, we do it all the time, but usually it's pretty hard. Sometimes it takes a couple of us, but usually more, depending on how big the person is, how heavy everything is. So we went over there and we went to put it on, and when we did, my side popped up all the way, like pretty much to the point to where I knew it was empty. I questioned him, and he told me, to not ask questions that I wasn't ready for the answer for. Then, after talking to one of my fellow gravediggers, Scott, he told me the truth. He said, "Man," he said, "I'm going to tell you something," and he said, "This don't go no further than me and you." He's like, "They're not burying a lot of people because the meat has other destinations." Now, that night I got a call after I made the video, and I was told to take the video down. because it was causing disruption. You know, people had been talking to my boss, and his daughter had actually seen it on TikTok also. Therefore, I didn't take the video down. So my fate was sealed. I was terminated, which I had no problem with. A couple days after that, me and a person talked on here, and he said, I think that you should take this time to kind of expose the funeral industry because you already have in a way. So now that's kind of my goal. That's where I'm at. This wasn't the first time that happened. There's also some shady stuff going on to where I noticed that they was telling us not to bury nobody while there was any type of family there. They're like, don't let them see you bury anybody. We don't want people spectating. And that could be for all kind of purposes, but that's what was happening. Also, like in the funeral homes, I was noticing like that the people that own them like had a lot of money. Like, and I mean, I know they make a lot of money, but like it was unreal. Like they had new Corvettes, and one of the funeral homes, they don't even hardly bury very many people. It's in a small town. They have like maybe 2 or 3 funerals a week. And like their son is like 17 and he has a 2025 Corvette. They have like a huge house. They own like a vacation home in Florida. And like things just wasn't adding up. So I started getting suspicious. So instead of just quitting the job in the first place like I was going to do when I first started it, I started to kind of infiltrate them. And I started paying attention to what they was doing. And this wasn't the first time that I'd handled an empty casket. And I also heard so much things that I'm going to tell you in the future on lives, but I can't tell you in videos. But I'm letting you know that they're not doing right with the bodies. They're not burying a lot of them. There's a lot of organ trafficking. They're targeting immigrants, inmates, people with no families. And they're literally selling them. And it's not just one funeral home. It's thousands. And the more I look into this, the worse it gets. I pray you're still with me. We got a long road ahead of us. But I wanted to make a part 3 and kind of let you know where I was at and clarify some things. I hope you listen. God bless you all, and thank you for supporting me through this journey.